First, there was Jennifer Flowers. She came forward during Bill Clinton's presidential campaign in 1992. Her claim, the two had had an affair that lasted 12 years. The governor denied it, and his staff went on the attack, but Flowers held her ground.
Yes, I was Bill Clinton's lover for 12 years. And for the past 2 years, I have lied to the press about our relationship to protect him.
As Flowers made her accusations public, the Clinton camp responded. Deputy campaign manager Betsy Wright made the following statement, quote, "I can guarantee you that he didn't have a 12-year affair with Jennifer Flowers. It's a sad state that she has become an adjective in the 1992 American politics. There is no other shoe to fall. I assure you, this man is a man of very high character." But Flowers continued to stand by her story. She would also go on to play secret recordings of private and intimate conversations between her and Clinton. Recordings where he is heard calling her honey. But Clinton supporters allege the tapes were doctored. Flowers marked the beginning of almost a decade of women coming forward and accusing the president of misconduct. And it marked the first time that Hillary Clinton would come to the defense of her husband. Now, whether or not the First Lady knew of the others to come is still an open question. Although the Flowers episode was only a prelude to what was to come, she wasn't about to go away. In January of 1998, the Lewinsky scandal started to explode. It was only then, years later, that the president admitted that he did in fact have an affair with Flowers, but he maintained it was only a one-time deal. It was on Hannity and Combs on August 18, 1999, that Jennifer Flowers once again offered proof of their relationship.
Now, I have no idea. I was very perplexed about that because most of the proof of the relationship was in the 80s when the state troopers, his security force, brought him to my home.
Then there was Paula Jones. Her claim dates back to May 1991, but the employee for the state of Arkansas kept quiet until 1994. She came forward with her story. Extramarital affairs with an employee who was a willing. So in 1994, to rebut any claims this was actually a consensual relationship, Jones filed a sexual harassment suit against Clinton.
I believe that what Mr. Clinton did to me was wrong, and that the law protects women who are subjected to that kind of abuse of power.
The president denied the allegation, and his people immediately went on the attack. Clinton's lawyer, Robert Bennett, said this, quote, "This event, plain and simple, didn't happen." And others even went as far as blaming right-wing groups. Take, for example, James Carville, who said this to reporters, quote, "When this is all said and done, people are going to find out a lot of payola going on down there. They're going to find a lot of people who have been paid to say a lot of things by a lot of right-wing groups." Eventually, the Jones case was dismissed, but Clinton, still claiming he wasn't guilty, agreed to an out-of-court settlement that landed Paula Jones hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, that's a mighty big sum of money for someone who didn't do anything wrong. Then there was Kathleen Willey, a lifelong Democrat and White House volunteer who in March of 1998 came forward with her allegations. Her claim that Bill Clinton sexually assaulted her in the Oval Office during his first term in the White House. Now, according to Willey, she was headed to speak to the president about a family crisis at home. She was in a financial difficulty and was asking the president to give her a chance at a real job, not just a volunteer one. So when he went into the office, he escorted her into his little study where she spoke of her problem, and it was then the conversation ended and things took a turn for the worse.
I think just about when I was leaving, he had a meeting, and I turned to leave, and he said, "I'm sorry," and he hugged me, and it went on from there.
It was more than a hug?
It was very much more than a hug.
Willey went on to say that the embrace also included inappropriate touching on her body. Linda Tripp, whose relationship with Monica Lewinsky was well publicized, also gave an account of Willey's case. Tripp told Newsweek magazine that she recalled bumping into Willey after her meeting with Clinton and said she was, quote, disheveled. Her face was red and her lipstick was off. She was flustered, happy, and joyful, and in no way was, quote, appalled. White House Communication Director Ann Lewis responded to the Willey allegation by telling the Baltimore Sun, quote, "I give credit to things I see with my own eyes." Willey's allegation gained attention in the press for multiple reasons. The claims made by Paula Jones were still in the news, and because of the claims of another woman, perhaps the most dangerous allegation yet. Her name, Juanita Broderick. Broderick is the last of the, quote, other women, but yet her story is perhaps the worst. At first, she was just known as a mysterious woman who filed an affidavit in the Paula Jones case denying that Bill Clinton made any unwelcome sexual advances towards her. But then it came time for investigators to talk with her. She broke her silence and claimed that she was raped by Bill Clinton in 1978 when he was running for governor of Arkansas. A few years ago, I spoke with Juanita and described what happened that day inside the Little Rock hotel room. You described a scene where he was biting on your lip, and then when it was all over, he was leaving, said, "You better put some ice on that."
Yeah, and casually put on his sunglasses and walked out the door. And I've told my friend who came back and found me that I was sitting there crying and so upset at the time. And I felt like that the next person would be somebody coming through the door to get rid of the body. That's just about how I had absolutely couldn't believe what had happened to me.
You begged him to stop?
Yes.
Your lip was swollen?
Yes.
Your pantyhose were torn?
Yes.
Like all the times before, Clinton denied everything until he was red in the face. The president issued one of his non-denial denials by saying, quote, "Well, my counsel has made a statement about the issue and I have nothing to add to it." White House counsel Lanny Davis said, quote, "How do we know she didn't lie to all her friends?" unquote. And then there were Clinton's personal attorney, David Kendall, who said, quote, "Any allegation that the president assaulted Miss Broderick more than 20 years ago is absolutely false." The Clinton camp tried to discredit the woman as the entire country watched. This, as the leader of the free world denied and denied and denied the allegations of Monica Lewinsky, which, of course, turned out to be true. All these years later, the truth is still elusive. The women all stick by their stories, and the former president has never answered for them. As the Clintons campaign for a return to power, it seems unlikely that these charges will ever be resolved, which is why this is another Clinton chapter that remains open.